Welcome to Whispering Tales. Here, every story comes to life with emotion, mystery, and reflection. Sit back, relax, and let the whispers guide you into a world of unforgettable tales. We weren't supposed to be there. Not officially, anyway. The park wasn't even marked on the map. Just a patch of deep green between county lines, mentioned only in half-deleted threads on hiking forums. Ben found it. Of course he did. He always liked the places where no one goes anymore. He sent the coordinates in our group chat with 3 words: secret trail. No signal. We should have known better, but we went anyway. There were 4 of us. Me, Ben, Troy, and Lucas. We'd been doing camping trips together since college. Every year, same rules. 1 bag each, no phones unless for photos, and always go off-grid. Modern wilderness detox, Ben called it. This year, it felt different from the start. The trailhead was overgrown. The trees were too dense. The air heavy. But no one said anything. We just tightened our straps and kept walking. The clearing was perfect, unnaturally perfect. A circle of soft moss, no rocks, no roots. Like something had cleared it long ago. Too round, too symmetrical. Lucas joked, maybe it's a fairy rain. Ben said, or a landing pad. We laughed. But I noticed something strange. No bugs. No bird song. Just the wind, and even that seemed cautious. We set up camp. 2 tents. 1 fire pit. By sunset, we were drinking cheap whiskey and roasting hot dogs, talking shit about high school, old hookups, and dumb things we barely remembered. Then, as the fire crackled low, we heard it. A scream. Far off. Sharp. Cut short. We froze. No one moved for a solid 10 seconds. Then Troy laughed nervously. Coyote? Ben nodded too quickly. Yeah, or a fox. They sound human sometimes. But none of us believed it. Later that night, I left the tent to pee. The forest was black. My flashlight flickered. And on the edge of the clearing, near where we stacked firewood, I saw something on the ground. A smear. Dark. Fresh. It glistened in the light. I stepped closer, heart pounding. Blood. Still wet. Still warm. And next to it, 3 long scratch marks in the dirt, like something had been dragged. I called out, Ben, Troy, Lucas? No answer. I turned toward the tents. They were still there, still zipped. Everything silent. Just the trees, listening. I backed away. Tried to convince myself it was animal blood. That the drag marks were nothing. That the scream hadn't happened. But I didn't sleep. At 3:11 a.m., I heard whispering. Not loud, not panicked. Just a low murmur, circling the tent. 1 voice at first, then 2, then 3. All male. It sounded like them, but wrong. Like someone had taken their voices and worn them like clothes that didn't quite fit. I held my breath. The whispering grew louder, clearer. Words forming from fog. Don't leave. He's not ready. Still watching. I shut my eyes. Told myself it was the wind. Told myself I'd imagine it differently in the morning. But when the sun rose, only my tent remained. The other one was gone. Not collapsed. Not damaged. Gone, like it had never been there. No bags. No clothes. No footprints. Just me. And 4 things in the center of the mossy circle. Ben's watch. Troy's necklace. Lucas's sock. And a single bloody handprint pressed into the bark of the tree behind me. We weren't supposed to be there. Not officially, anyway. The park wasn't even marked on the map. Just a patch of deep green between county lines, mentioned only in half-deleted threads on hiking forums. Ben found it. Of course he did. He always liked the places where no one goes anymore. He sent the coordinates in our group chat with 3 words: secret trail. No signal. We should have known better. But we went anyway. There were 4 of us. Me, Ben, Troy, and Lucas. We'd been doing camping trips together since college. Every year, same rules. 1 bag each, no phones unless for photos, and always go off-grid. Modern wilderness detox, Ben called it. This year, it felt different from the start. The trailhead was overgrown. The trees were too dense. The air heavy. But no one said anything. We just tightened our straps and kept walking. The clearing was perfect, unnaturally perfect. A circle of soft moss, no rocks, no roots. Like something had cleared it long ago. Too round, too symmetrical. Lucas joked, maybe it's a fairy rain. Ben said, or a landing pad. We laughed. But I noticed something strange. No bugs. No bird song. Just the wind, and even that seemed Cautious. We set up camp, 2 tents, 1 fire pit. By sunset, we were drinking cheap whiskey and roasting hot dogs, talking shit about high school, old hookups, and dumb things we barely remembered. Then, as the fire crackled low, we heard it. A scream. Far off. Sharp. Cut short. We froze. No one moved for a solid 10 seconds. Then Troy laughed nervously. Coyote? Ben nodded too quickly. Yeah, or a fox. They sound human sometimes. But none of us believed it. Later that night, I left the tent to pee. The forest was black. My flashlight flickered. And on the edge of the clearing, near where we stacked firewood, I saw something on the ground. A smear. Dark. Fresh. It glistened in the light. I stepped closer, heart pounding. Blood. Still wet. Still warm. And next to it, 3 long scratch marks in the dirt, like something had been dragged. I called out, Ben? Troy? Lucas? No answer. I turned toward the tents. They were still there, still zipped. Everything silent. Just the trees, listening. I backed away. Tried to convince myself it was animal blood. That the drag marks were nothing. That the scream hadn't happened. But I didn't sleep. At 3:11 a.m., I heard whispering. Not loud, not panicked. Just a low murmur, circling the tent. 1 voice at first, then 2, then 3. All male. It sounded like them, but wrong. Like someone had taken their voices and worn them like clothes that didn't quite fit. I held my breath. The whispering grew louder, clearer. Words forming from fog. Don't leave. He's not ready. Still watching. I shut my eyes. Told myself it was the wind. Told myself I'd imagine it differently in the morning. But when the sun rose, only my tent remained. The other one was gone. Not collapsed. Not damaged. Gone. Like it had never been there. No bags. No clothes. No footprints. Just me. And 4 things in the center of the mossy circle. Ben's watch. Troy's necklace. Lucas's sock. And a single bloody handprint pressed into the bark of the tree behind me. The handprint didn't look human. It was almost right. 5 fingers, roughly the right size, but they were too long. Too thin. The shape was stretched. Like someone had pressed down, then pulled away slowly, smearing the blood just enough to distort it. I stood there for a long time, frozen. The forest was quiet. No birds. No insects. Not even the wind. Just silence so thick it pushed against my ears. I called out, Ben? No answer. Troy? Lucas? Nothing. I walked the edge of the clearing, yelling louder each time. The only sound was my voice bouncing back off the trees, swallowed by the undergrowth. I checked the spot where the second tent had been. The moss was perfectly undisturbed. No flattened ground, no stakes, no impression at all. Like it had never existed. Even the ashes from the fire pit were gone. Just cold stone in a ring, clean. Too clean. That's when I noticed the backpacks. All 3 had been there, leaning against a tree the night before. Now, gone. Mine was still by my tent, untouched. Sleeping bag inside, flashlight, knife, water bottle. But the food? Half of it was missing. I didn't eat. Something had. I tried to call for help, but my phone was dead. Not just needs charging, dead. Screen off, won't turn on, bricked dead. I searched the tree line for footprints. Nothing. I even climbed the ridge north of the clearing, where we'd watched the sunset the night before. From up there, you could see for miles. Hills, endless trees, and in the distance, what looked like a fire tower. Civilization. Relief. I started toward it, crashing through underbrush, following the sun, heart pounding. And then I saw Ben, just for a second, between the trees. Back turned, walking slowly 30 feet ahead. Ben, I yelled. He didn't stop. I ran. Branches tore at my arms. I lost my footing once, twice. But when I reached the place where I thought he'd been, there was no one. No sign. Not even a broken twig. I stood there, panting, trying to calm myself. That's when I heard it. Very faint, almost gentle. My name. Ryan. Whispered like a breath, carried by wind that wasn't blowing. Ryan, help. It was Lucas's voice. Soft, panicked, distant. I turned toward it. They're not gone. Now Troy's voice. Still here, just deeper. I spun in every direction, trying to locate them. The voices came from everywhere and nowhere. Then silence again. Crushing. Absolute. I returned to the clearing by instinct, not because I knew the way, but because I felt like I'd never left. Like the forest had been folding in on itself behind me. The moss was still undisturbed, the handprint still fresh. But now, there was something new. In the center of the clearing, sitting exactly where the fire had been the night before. I tried to leave. That morning, after the second photo, I packed everything, what little I had left, and headed toward the fire tower I'd seen the day before. I followed the sun, the slope, the shape of the hills. I walked for 6 hours. But the trees never change. Same patterns, same crooked pine, same rotten log that split in two like a mouth. I marked trees as I passed, scratched big X's into the bark with my knife. An hour later, I saw one of my marks again. Fresh, not faded, not weathered, like I just made it. I screamed, cursed the forest, cursed myself, cursed them. Then I sat down and cried, not just out of fear, but exhaustion, confusion. That awful, sinking knowledge that whatever this place was, it didn't follow rules. Not mine, not nature's. It bent time, folded space. It remembered me. By dusk, I was back in the clearing. Of course I was. It was waiting. And something had changed again. Now, hanging from the branch above my tent, gently swaying, was a shoelace. Ben's. I recognized the red stripe, tied into a perfect noose. I didn't light a fire that night, didn't eat. I sat in the tent, wrapped in my sleeping bag, knife in hand, every nerve burning. The forest was still, too still. Then, around midnight, the whispering returned. Closer, faster. He's waking up. Not yet, not all of him. The voices circled me. And then I heard the zipper. Just a tiny pull, a fraction, like someone tested it. I froze. No breathing, no blinking. Just the cold edge of the knife pressed against my thigh. Then, fingers pressed against the tent wall, 5 of them, pressing inward, stretching the fabric toward my face. I slashed. The blade ripped through nylon. Nothing was there, just air. I bolted. No flashlight, just my boots, the knife, and panic. I ran through trees that leaned the wrong way, past branches that twitched when I passed. The air grew thicker, like walking through water. My chest screamed, my lungs burned. Then the laughter started, all around me. Ben's voice, then Troy's, then Lucas's ass. You never listened. We told you not to go. Now we're here forever. I tripped and fell hard, face first into the dirt. And when I looked up, I saw them, standing at the edge of the trees. All 3, but wrong. Ben's arms were too long. His mouth didn't close all the way. Troy's eyes were wide, too wide, stretched across his face. Lucas, his legs bent the wrong way. They smiled. And then they began to walk backward into the dark without turning, vanishing into the trees. I passed out. When I woke, it was morning. I was lying inside my tent again. The rip I'd made the night before? Gone. The shoelace? Gone. But in my pocket was a photograph. This one showed me, curled on the ground, asleep in the forest. The timestamp, 4:17 a.m., taken just hours ago. I stood up, shaking. There were new marks on the trees now. Symbols. Carved deep, clean lines, circles and spirals. And next to them, more handprints. Too high for anyone to reach. Some with 6 fingers. And in the center of the clearing, arranged like petals, 3 stones. On each, a name. Ben, Troy, Lucas. And in the middle, a 4th stone. Blank. Waiting. I had to move. Staying in the clearing felt like sitting in the middle of a mouth that hadn't closed yet. Like I was one breath away from being swallowed. I took only the essentials, the knife, the water bottle, the photo. And I walked. No direction, just away. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe signs of them, maybe signs of myself, maybe anything to remind me I was still in the same world I came from. But the deeper I went, the more that world faded. The forest wasn't natural anymore. Trees grew in spirals. Moss climbed upward, against gravity. The shadows under the branches weren't tied to the sun. They stretched and curled like fingers. And the sound? There was sound, but not from anything living. It was like wind made of voices. Thousands of them, overlapping, whispering, not words, but intention. Stay, stay, stay. After maybe an hour or 10 minutes or year, I saw it. A flash of red between the trees. Cloth. I ran toward it and found a jacket, Lucas's ass. Half buried beneath leaves, zipped up like it had been gently folded. Too clean for the forest. I dug it out, checked the pockets. Inside, a small, black dictaphone, still intact, still working. My hands trembled as I pressed play. The voice that came out was mine. If you're hearing this, then it's already too late. I dropped it. The voice kept playing. They don't take your body, not at first. They take your place. They wear you like a coat, a voice, a memory. And they wait for the next one, static. Then more of my voice, different tone, faster, panicked. I thought I could run. I thought I could hide in the dream and wait it out. But there is no dream. There is no out. This forest has no edge. Then a whisper, not mine, deeper, alien. He listens now. He remembers. He's almost ready. Then silence. I stood there, frozen. The air shifted. Behind me, leaves rustled. Softly. I turned. Nothing. Then I looked down, at the dirt around the jacket. Footprints. But not mine. Free scents. Bare. Deep. Pressed into the ground, not on it. And all of them circled me. I ran again. Tears in my eyes. Knife drawn. My own voice still echoing in my skull. The forest pulsed around me. Trees shifting slightly with each breath. At one point, I passed a tree with a carving I recognized. R plus T plus B plus L. We'd etched that the first night. I sighed in relief. Until I looked below it and saw a second carving. He came back. And under that, the same carving again, and again, and again. Dozens of times, spiraling down the trunk like a warning that had no beginning. The sun never moved. I walked under it for what felt like eternity, and it hovered in the same spot, pale and cold. When I finally collapsed from exhaustion, I was at a stream. Crystal clear. Too clear. And in the water, I saw something shiny, a photo. Pressed to a rock under the surface, unmoving. I reached in, pulled it out. It showed me, holding this exact photo, standing at this stream, wearing the same expression, and in the background, reflected in the water, a figure, behind me. I spun around. No one. But the trees were closer now. The stream thinner. The rocks gone. The photo in my hand had turned blank, just wet paper. But when I turned it over, something had been scratched into the back. You were the new sound. I didn't go back to the clearing. I couldn't, because I finally understood. There was no clearing. Not anymore. Not a place, but a process, and I was already inside it. I don't remember walking back. I just remember arriving. One moment, I was beside the stream. The next, I was standing on soft moss again. The same moss. Same circle. Same trees leaning in like eavesdroppers. But something had changed. The colors were wrong. Not wrong like autumn instead of summer, but wrong like overexposed film. Greens that bled into blue. Shadows that twitched when you looked away. And the air? It smelled like old breath and rain that never came. At the center of the clearing sat Ben, cross-legged, calm, smiling. But something about the way he held his posture, too perfect, too still, made my chest tighten. Ben? I called. He looked up slowly. You came back, he said. His voice was smooth, memorized. I stepped closer. His eyes didn't blink. Where are the others? I asked. We're all here, he said, tilting his head slightly. You just stopped looking the right way. My fists clenched. What happened to them? What is this place? Ben smiled wider. It's not a place. It's a decision. The wind picked up, but it didn't rustle leaves. It whispered, not through the trees, from them. Troy's laugh. Lucas's humming. Coming from branches, roots, bark. I backed away. You're not Ben, I said. His smile twitched. A glitch. Not anymore, he said softly. But I remember how to be. He stood up, and the way his limbs moved, like they were being piloted, not lived in. You stayed the longest, he said. That's why you're the right fit. Fit for what? He stepped closer. To carry the next echo. To hold the voice. I gripped the knife. No, you don't have to fight, he said. You just had to listen. Behind him, the trees shimmered. And through them, I saw myself. But younger, standing at the tree line. Watching, silent. Then another version, older, gaunter, with hollow eyes. Then another, and another. Like layers of me had been sloughed off and left to haunt this place. They didn't move, just watched. I turned back to Ben. He was gone. In his place. A pile of leaves, still warm. And in the center of them, a cassette tape, labeled Ryan, final track. No player, no power. But as I touched it, I heard my voice again. Inside my skull. He returns. He decides. He disappears. I ran. Didn't know where. Didn't care. Branches clawed at me. The sky flickered like a broken screen. Every step felt like walking through someone else's dream. And the voices chased me. Not out loud, but inside. One of us. Next layer. Number outside. I screamed. Then suddenly, silence. Like the forest blinked. I stood in a space I didn't recognize. Not the clearing. Not the trees. Just nothing. White fog. A flat ground of dead grass. A single stump. And on that stump, a photo of me. Holding this photo. Looking terrified. I dropped it. My hands were shaking. My breath ragged. A sound rose from beneath my feet. Like soil breathing. And then, a whisper in my ear. Close. Wet. Familiar. We kept a space for you. I fell to my knees. There were no more answers. Only the next frame. And it was almost ready. I don't know how long I stayed in that fog. Time stretched like skin. Sometimes the sky above me was black. Sometimes white. Once, I swear, it shimmered like water, and something huge swam just beneath it. But the ground stayed the same. Flat. Dead. And always the stump in front of me. With the photo of myself. Sometimes I tried to throw it, rip it, burn it. But every time it reappeared in my hand. Or on the stump. Or tucked into my pocket. Like it had always been there. That's when I started hearing it. Not the others. Not Ben. Not Troy. Not Lucas. But me. My own voice. Clear. Steady. Like I was narrating my thoughts before I had them. He's scared now. He knows it's almost over. He's ready. I shouted into the fog. Stop using my voice. But even as I screamed, my voice whispered back. He always wanted to stay. He made the wish. We answered. Wish? Then I remembered. The last night before the trip. We were drinking at Ben's place, making dumb jokes. Lucas was already packing his gear. Troy kept saying he didn't want to go, but Ben pushed him. And I'd said something. Offhand, half joking. Looking at the fire pit. I'd said, I wish this trip could last forever. Just us. No work. No phones. No reality. They'd laughed. Ben had raised his beer. But someone must have heard. The fog thinned. Trees emerged. Familiar. Twisted. I was back in the forest. The real one. Or the version of it they wanted me to see. And from the trees, my voice spoke again. You were always going to stay. You were always meant to be part of this. The bark of the trees began to shift, bulging, stretching. Faces. My face. Dozens of them. Mouths open. Eyes closed. Whispering. Stay. 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 I stumbled back, heart pounding. Then, a crack of twigs. Behind me. I turned, and there he was. Not Ben, not Troy, not Lucas, but me. Standing in the clearing. Wearing my clothes. Holding my knife. His eyes were black. Like ink dropped into water. He didn't smile. He just spoke. You've seen what waits outside. Noise. Work. Suffering. Here, they're still alive. Here, you're too. He stepped forward. The knife in his hand melted into smoke. The smoke coiled into a ribbon and slipped beneath my skin. Suddenly I was remembering things I never lived. The first Ryan. The second. The 100th. All of us. All trapped. All echoes. I fell to my knees. Tears streamed down my face. I whispered, please, let me go. And the forest answered, in my voice, then give us the memory. Let us keep them. Let them stay alive in you. Or let yourself become nothing. I saw their faces. Ben, Troy, Lucas. Smiling. Still. Waiting. Just say it, they whispered. So I did. I remember them. The wind stilled. The forest breathed. Then you may leave, but not all of you. The trees cracked open, like ribs parting, and a path formed, narrow, twisting, bleeding light. I walked it, and behind me the voices faded, but one stayed, my own, soft, crooked, like a smile with teeth. We'll keep your shadow. I woke up on the edge of the highway, clothes torn, skin dirty, mouth dry. A passing trucker spotted me stumbling down the shoulder just after dawn. I didn't know my name, couldn't remember how I'd gotten there. They thought I'd been in some kind of accident. Maybe heat stroke, maybe trauma. I just nodded, said, I got lost. They never found my friends. Search teams went out, helicopters, dogs, maps, drones. They found the trailhead. They found a campsite, but no clearing, no moss, no photos, no blood. I moved back in with my sister for a while. She was kind, patient. Said it was okay that I couldn't explain what happened. Said I didn't have to remember. But the truth is, I do. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to know what I lost. Enough to know what I gave. Sometimes I dream about them. Ben with his half laugh. Troy complaining about the food. Lucas humming off-key. Sometimes I dream about the clearing, but in the dreams, it's wrong. Bigger. The trees breathing. The moss pulsing under my feet. And sometimes, I dream I never left. Then came the voices. At first, just faint murmurs in the corners of quiet rooms. In the hum of the fridge. In the rustle of leaves outside the window. Then they became words. My voice, but not mine. We remember. We remember you. It's your turn now. I tried therapy. Medication. I burned the clothes I wore on that trip. I smashed every photo from my life before. But it doesn't matter. Because they didn't just take my friends. They took me. Or at least, the part of me I needed to forget. And in return, I brought something back. Something hollow. Something that listens. A week ago, I walked into a vintage store downtown. Drawn in, I guess. I didn't know what I was looking for. Until I saw it. A camera. Old. 35mm. Clean. Slight dent near the lens. My reflection in the glass case didn't blink. I bought it. Paid cash. Last night, I left it at the base of a hiking trail 2 towns over. Wrapped in cloth. Inside a waterproof bag. No note. No name. Just a single photo tucked inside. A group of 4 friends. Smiling around a campfire. One of them is me. But none of them will know that. Not yet. If you're reading this, maybe it's too late. Maybe you already found the trail. Maybe you already heard something call your name from the trees. Maybe you think this story is just that, a story. But you'll feel it soon. The pull. The silence that bends too tightly. The whisper behind your ear that sounds too much like you. And when you do, just remember one thing. You don't find the forest. It finds you. And when it does, when you hear your friends laughing in the dark, when you feel your own voice echoing back at you from behind the bark, know this. They're waiting. And they've been practicing your voice. Click.